Hey, everybody, and welcome to the AIX Power Masterclass, where today I'm going to be going over 6 companies total, 3 you can invest in now, 2 you should be keeping on your watch list, and 1 final company you should definitely invest in for big gains now and even more monstrous gains later if there's a certain technological revolution, which I'll cover at the end. This company is the current and future linchpin between data centers and their power source. So the one at the end is a company you're familiar with, but you may have never thought had so much control nor potential in this exciting space. And if you came from our webinar, it is the one company we were talking about. All right, let's just get right into it. You don't need to wait till the end. If you came here from the Quantum Summit, I do not want to keep you waiting. This is the stock referenced and that you were promised. It's historic. And after its one day 36% rise, it's now on everyone's radar. But it hasn't been for a long time. And the stock is still a good buy for now and for later. And this is why it's a great chance to still get in because it will inevitably go higher because Oracle is the linchpin between AI data centers and power. But again, I'm going to go over the stock in more detail at the end of this presentation because there's another technological revolution that I think AI will enable that will propel this stock to new heights. All right. So right now, AI is the gold rush. The output of artificial intelligence is the gold. And prospectors are lining up to buy their picks and shovels. Railway companies are clamoring to build more rail lines. And power companies are crooning with glee about the demand surging for their power. This is just the start of an entire global revolution. And right now, it's power and data center construction time. So let's take a step back for a second, though. Like, what is the big picture of the AI stack? How should you think about it? Well, AI isn't just software, and it's not just data centers or power centers. It's not just large language models that write code or make pictures, or now with Sora 2 make videos. It's a full-blown industrial revolution. It's a truly global scale transformation requiring vast amounts of energy, cutting-edge hardware, pristine data infrastructure, and deep integration into every part of our economy. And personally, I like to think of the AI stack as a pyramid. One, I like pyramids, but two, it actually makes a lot of sense in this context. And I think it'll really help you crystallize in your head where all these AI companies fit together and how they stack on top of each other. Because each layer does build upon the next, and together they are greater than their individual parts versus when they're separated. So let's break this down into 5 interlocking layers. All right, so the bottom layer, the infrastructure layer, this is energy and power infrastructure. This is the actual energy that will be powering the rest of the pyramid. Everything above it requires energy and power, and having cheap, efficient, and reliable, always on power is essential for this pyramid and for AI. Next, we have the AI hardware. So this is the actual technology that's enabling this entire stack development. So this is the chip, this is the NVDA, this is the GPUs, the CPUs, this is all of that. It's the chips, the networking, and the memory. Next, we have the AI-driven data infrastructure and management layer. So this is the companies that come in to help sort what is the output of the chips to the end to the next version up, which is the enterprise software. So these are the companies that help to actually translate floating point numbers into usable intelligence. More on that later. And next on the up is the enterprise AI platforms. So like this is the actual software that's being used by companies today that's using those floating point numbers. This is like the ServiceNow's one of the best companies in that area. They're very essential to actually putting AI into the hands of real users. And then the tip of the pyramid is the AI applications. So this is the things where we actually apply the intelligence to. This is the biotechnologies. This is the new medicine, the industrial automation, the robotics. This is the autonomous vehicles. This is what you will see in your daily life as an average person, layman, that's not just within giant Fortune 500 companies using software. This is the stuff you will see. So this is Tesla autopilot. And each one of these layers builds upon the last. If you miss one, the whole tower wobbles. So you have to nail the foundation so you can ride the wave all the way to the top. You could think of this as the stages of investing as as well. Right now, we're in the AI power stage, or the power and infrastructure stage, and we will want to slowly put our portfolio into it all. Um, and I will also be, just to be completely clear here, this presentation is exclusively going to be on AI and power. So these 6 stocks today, or we're going to talk about, is just for the bottom layer of the pyramid. I will be releasing 4 more master classes on the rest of the pyramid and a possible 5th more, so 6 total about the overall system, but at least 4 more going into each of the additional talks. And this is the only plug for this whole masterclass, but because you are seeing this, you should already be in our service. But our digital creators and consumers portfolio, our flagship letter, specializes in investing in all of these layers, and we are already in most of the companies that we'll be recommending. We're not in all of them because some of these are watching. We're watching for, or we haven't reached certain entry points that we would like. But this being said, the digital creators and consumers portfolio, its whole job is to invest into every part of this stack, and its job to make sure you are situated at the right times for this AI industrial revolution. All right, so let's think infrastructure. That's all we're doing today, is thinking infrastructure, AI, and power. So at Markman Capital, this is important. A little bit about us: we don't chase headlines. We like to find the systems beneath the buzz. We like to know about the 20-year power contract between a data center and a power company, because we know it's probably more vital to AI than a new chatbot feature that might hit the news. It's probably more vital than a new Sora video. We also know that beneath every GPT is a data pipe, a memory stack, and a power surge. So if AI is the train, infrastructure is the track, and we want to make sure right now we own the track, so every AI train that goes along it ends up paying us. We don't chase hype, we invest in infrastructure, and we hold. That's where returns compound, and that's how we win at Markman Capital. All right. So what's the scale? What's the scale of this? We've been investing in this entire stack for almost 3 decades, with one of our most famous picks being NVDA in 2011 and again in 2014. But it wasn't always called AI. It's been called machine learning. It's been called algorithmic algorithms. It's been called a bunch of different other things. AI is just the new term for a lot of these algorithms. So let's talk about numbers. It is estimated that by 2040, the combination of AI and energy alone will be a $20 trillion marketplace by 2040. That is a huge uptick from its current levels, and it just means there's so much demand for AI and power. What it also means, though, is that whoever builds and operates the intelligence layer between AI and power will not only ride this wave, but they'll own it. I'll give you a little hint here about what we might be talking about later in terms of a new technological breakthrough. It does involve fusion energy, and there is one company specifically positioned that potentially, if we do crack fusion, would be perfectly placed. So hold that thought for later. All right. Layer 1, our foundational layer of the pyramid. AI doesn't just run on code, it runs on electricity. Massive data centers are now voracious power consumers, and nuclear is having a renaissance because AI needs clean, uninterrupted baseload energy. And that energy is converted into floating point numbers, which are redeemed as tokens by software to be used as computes problems posed to different systems. So the more floating point numbers that can be produced, the more computation can be done. Basically, inflows energy into an AI data center, or as Jensen Huang calls them, AI factories. And those GPUs, so the NVIDIA chips, turn that energy into floating point numbers or tokens. And then these tokens are redeemed to complete computational tasks by people further up the pyramid. Jensen Huang's famous quote is, an AI factory is a data center that inflows electricity and outflows in intelligence. But what I really want to harp on here, and this is the main thing, is what is truly different between the GPUs and CPUs, the different companies, the different chips, is their efficiency at turning energy into floating point numbers. So that ratio of energy in, floating point numbers out, whatever is the highest ratio of least amount of energy to most amount of floating numbers, that's the goal. That's what people are looking for. Because the more floating numbers we can create, the more compute that can be done. And there's an interesting relationship here that I'll really tie into the story. It's more towards the end. But the cheaper the energy, the more profitable each floating point number is. So it might make sense for someone who has access to a lot of these floating point numbers to apply them to an energy problem that has not been solved yet. Because if they do solve it, all of a sudden now they almost get an infinite amount of floating point numbers out for cheaper energy. And that's why energy is so important right now, and why this entire sector has been acting more like growth stocks versus utilities like it has been for the last, 30, 40 years. All right. So what I'm alluding to here is AI fuels fusion. Fusion will fuel AI. And there's only one company that I'll touch on. There's only one company that fuels both. And we believe that to be Oracle. And I have a pretty strong case at the end of this. So this is our asymmetric bet. If this does work out, huge upside gains. But anyways, let's dive in. Enough about this Oracle play for later. Let's dive into the 3 companies we think you should own right now. All right. So first one is Quanta Power Services, ticker PWR. God, I love that ticker. Quanta Power Services is the specialized contractor that executes electric power, renewable energy, pipeline constructions, communication infrastructure, and energy utilities. They're the company that builds all of those things, and they're most companies' first call when they need to build this new mission critical infrastructure. They're one of the few companies capable of organizing subcontractors between state lines. These infrastructure projects are massive, and they secure talent from across the United States. And this is one thing that sets them apart, is that they have massive talent pools that can be moved to any location. They're currently being used to build data centers for Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. We actually first pitched the stock early 2024 in April, when it was at $240 per share. It's currently around $375, and we expect it to do very well. Potentially up to our target for Quanta is actually $477, which is 26% up from time of filming this. So this is a great pick. We love this company. Definitely should add it to your portfolio. Next up is Constellation Energy. They are the leading producer of clean, carbon-free electricity and natural gas, which is already delivered to millions of residential, commercial, and public sector customers. They're currently 90% carbon-free power, which means they're mostly nuclear at this time, and they're aiming for 100% by 2040. Seems completely doable, considering that's an extremely long time away, 15 years, and only 10% left. So it seems very, very doable. So Constellation's competitive advantage, though, lies in its diverse portfolio of renewable energy sources and its efficient energy distribution network. The company's investment in smart grid technology and energy storage solutions sets it apart in rapidly evolving energy landscapes. One super cool project that I really like is something they're calling the virtual power plant management, which they've already rolled out in a city in Connecticut. It aggregates distributed energy resources like residential's rooftop solar powers and residential batteries. So your neighbors' solar panels and their batteries can be aggregated into one system that actually, with their software, allows for customers to buy and sell within their own grid at off-peak hours. So that way they can reduce a whole neighborhood's power consumption, or if the grid goes down, they can be their own grid. It's pretty sick stuff, especially I live in Austin, Texas, and we have 1 week a year where it's reliably like 15 degrees, which is crazy, especially for Texas, and everything shuts down and breaks. And the grid goes down. I have never lost power in any meaningful way, but people across the street from me have for one time 5 days, and it was 15 degrees for like the entire stay, which is ridiculous. Anyways, something like this could definitely be useful in places like Texas, or really anywhere where you want to have less reliability on the main centralized system and want to be decentralized, which seems to be a trend in every aspect of life at the moment. They're also the company that's redoing 3 Mile Island. We first recommended the stock early in April, around 200, and it's now trading at around 300. But we really do see it going higher in the next 18 months to around $360, which would be 20% from current levels. This is a stock to hold for a long time. So the last on our buy now is NextEra. NextEra Energy is the world's largest electric utility holding company with a diversified clean energy portfolio that includes wind, solar, nuclear, and natural gas. So what makes this next era different is they're trying to lay down the power grid of the future. They're backed by a proprietary software platform that optimizes renewable resources across weather patterns, grid demand, and prices in real time. What's So you ask, what's their secret sauce? It's their scale, their execution, and their head start on 20 years of proprietary operational data that new entrants can't fake. So their software essentially allows them to see weather patterns and and what weather patterns and predict outages or peaks or basically outages or peaks, and allows them to in real time shift sources of energy through different grids to combat either super high prices or going offline. This is what makes this uh, holding company most different than most, is they're really buying the data of companies to aggregate for basically so they can have scale, which is really interesting. So because normally holding companies are kind of boring and stale, this one's not. What makes also a pretty awesome stock to hold is they have cash flow. They have tons of customers, and their cash flow is what they're using to fund their growth. So they're not taking on new equity or debt. So we have a target of 106.5. And at the time of filming, this was currently at around $70. We do think this is still a long-term hold, so that would be almost a 52% gain, which would be fantastic. So next era, definitely a company to look for. They're a behemoth, they're a powerhouse, and they're reasonably priced. All right, so those are the three stocks that we think you should look at getting into now. The next two are stocks for down the road, but that you should keep on your watch list. They are highly speculative and in nuclear, and they're just some of the few nuclear companies that are coming online. We're not recommending them now, but keep in mind, just keep them on your watch list over the next five years. All right, let's get into it. So first one, this one you've probably potentially heard of. It's Oklo. It's been in the news a lot lately because Sam Altman is one of the investors in it, and anything he touches obviously gets attention. So their new claim to fame is something they're calling the Aurora Fast Nuclear Reactor. It's a liquid metal cooled, metal fueled nuclear reactor. So it runs on recycled nuclear waste, and as opposed to using tons of water, that actually uses liquid metal to cool the system, which is pretty cool. Right now, the projected power plant, which is not operational yet, is projected to have a 15 megawatt capacity, but they think within 10 years, it's scalable to 50 megawatts energy. And what's really interesting about this concept is it's a set it and forget it model. So they set it up once with fuel. It doesn't need to be touched for up to 10 years on their higher end. So they can literally predict the output of the energy from the construction and can sell it as like, hey, here's your energy for the next 5, 10 years to customers or data centers, which is completely awesome for anyone who needs to have a balance sheet that's predictable, which public companies that own data centers totally do. So their vision is selling power, not power plants, which is kind of funny because they're selling a power plant, but because it's predictable energy over time, it's like, all right, here's your power for the next XYZ number of years. Pretty interesting. They have 15 gigawatts of non-binding power requests from data center and industrial customers, which does show demand, even though it's non-binding. The business model is own and operate reactors, so they'll sell electricity via long-term contracts instead of selling reactors. They have some partnerships with LOIs with major data centers, Switch and Equinix being two of them. They're also hitting an early deployment, late 2020. So we're hoping before 2030s. This is a high upside, but definitely highly speculative until a unit runs. Like it just is. Nothing, our unit does not run yet. But interesting. I like this. So let's put it on your list. All right, up is right now. This is a company you can buy now, but are we going to recommend buying it now? No. So this is NuScale Power, or with ticker SMR. Again, kind of a great ticker if you're into this stuff. It's SMR is the shorthand for small modular reactors. Their design is small, scalable power plants. So basically, built off-site, assembled on-site. However much power you need is how many units you buy. And their thing is, because everyone's scared of nuclear because of a couple of disasters that happened 30, 40 years ago, their system inherently has it comes with a automatic shutdown and cooling without operator action. So when there's a problem, it can actually just shut itself down without anyone else getting involved, which is pretty cool. This being said, it's not like other nuclear reactors are unsafe. So this could just be more of a signal to the masses. This being said, it's a pretty good signal to the masses that care. They're targeting their first deployment in 2030 in conjunction with the Department of Energy at their Idaho site. Another reason this is a great potential one is the Department of Energy is backing them. And the Department of Energy, for anyone in the know, is the forefront of science, especially for physical science. They have they've been years ahead for forever. And in the next slide, I'll touch on potentially they've potentially done some really cool stuff that just never got released to the public. So for the Department of Energy to be a initial stakeholder and also to have approved 1.4 billion in initial deployment, that's a big deal. So Oklo versus SMR, this is definitely lower risk. Department of Energy is backing it, but deployment's a lot later. These guys are already licensed and they have utilities, but they are slower to deploy. So Oklo might beat them to the market, but this one's definitely something to watch. Just a little bit about market capital. We don't like to buy highly speculative stocks for our customers' portfolios. That's not what we do. We will recommend them and tell you about the research. But for us, this is more of a watch. Wealth is consistently and reliably created through buying companies that are owning and dominating their niche. This company is not owning or dominating its niche, so it does not reach the criteria for a reliable market capital pick. Doesn't mean you shouldn't look at it or add it to your watch list. It just doesn't meet the criteria for us to recommend to you, because that's our standard for how to create wealth on, at least for your behalf. Anyways, so those are the two to watch. Those are the three to buy now. And then this last one, we do think you should buy now, but also watch for a long time. And we're going to get in some pretty cool here. I just want to kind of set the scene. So the last industrial revolution ran on coal. The digital revolution ran on oil and gas. And the next revolution, the one that we're just starting to experience now, the one that will, 1,000 years from now, we look back on that will define our century, will be run on fusion energy. The reason you ask why? Well, it's a few reasons. One, power is the only barrier to better AI outputs. Therefore, it is reasonable completely to assume that the best AI models will be focused on solving this bottleneck. Next, it's only reasonable to assume this. And actually, it's already happening. Google's DeepMind has been working on this for the last 5 years and has solved 95% of error rates that keep shutting the fusion down. So Google's doing it. They're very much ahead in AI, and other companies are doing it too. So AI fuels fusion, fusion fuels AI, and the company that masters the symbiosis between these two will define the century. So I want to back up a little bit. I don't want to get too conspiratorial here, but just ride with me on this. But I think it's important to mention in the topic of fusion, because fusion has just been around the corner for the last 50 years, and it has never come out publicly. If you dig into this field even slightly, you'll find that most scientists who publicly worked on fusion at some point in their career either go dark or end up working for the government in either the Department of Energy, there's my hint from earlier, or a contractor that's underneath a top secret security clearance, and they just go dark. None of their work has become public. And this pattern is ridiculously repeatable. I've been into this for a long time just because I love kind of out there stories, potential tech, but I recently came across one of my favorite worldview-shattering books that I totally recommend everyone read. It's a little bit of an aside here, but the book's called A New Science of Heaven: How the New Science of Plasma Physics is Shedding Light on Spiritual Experience. Pretty heady title, but it's written by a guy named Robert Temple. I'm not going to go into his thesis that he thinks plasma is actually sentient. He makes a pretty great argument for it. But what I will say is he's a scientist, and his book is written like a scientist. It is, some parts you're like, this is too much detail. But anyways, he details and tracks all of the advances in plasma physics, which is fusion is plasma, over the last 50, 60, 70 years. And long story short, he continually documents dozens of scientists of their work, their disappearance or working into, or their basically with the work they were doing, their disappearance or if they got hired by a government agency, and then their reappearance in retirement, and they've clearly solved problems in their retirement papers that they were working on before they went dark. It's kind of a crazy situation. But anyways, long story short, he believes he believes fusion was cracked and silenced. And quite frankly, not just because of this book, but so do I. Physics, if you get into physics at all, it hasn't evolved at all in the last 50, 60 years. And I think anyways, let's not get too conspiratorial. So you ask, what does AI change about this? And if I'm going to go out on a limb with you, Joe, and this is true, why wouldn't the government just come in and silence it again? The real answer is, I think they might. It's possible. They totally could. But I think these AI models and the companies around them are a little bit too public. And I think the timing could be right. Google's DeepMind, as mentioned, is using AI to fix errors in their fusion program in real time in public. And it's progressing. It hasn't been stopped. And anyways, this is all supposed to be fun. All this topic is fun. I love fusion. I love talking about this. So please, this is not supposed to be a fusion talk, but if you watch this and you want me to go deeper into fusion and other companies, there are a few others that are working on it. Let me know. I would love to go deeper on this for you. So let me know. Shoot me an email, and we'll figure it out. Well, anyways, there is a company right now. Back to topic. There is a company right now that is perfectly positioned to completely dominate if fusion gets cracked, and it is Oracle. Why? Well, Oracle's competitive infrastructure lies in the fact that it is the middleman between power and companies who want AI data centers. So they will build, own, operate an AI data center on your behalf. And so say you're a big Fortune 500 company and you don't want to own your own data center, which some of them don't, only really the Mag 7 do. Oracle will come in and build them for you. Their cost advantages, so there's really 4 pillars to Oracle's data center development and why companies love Oracle to build them for them. But it's something called the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. It uses something called bare metal servers that are stripped of all of the non-essential architecture that are then coupled with the most powerful GPUs from NVDA. Remember, Oracle and NVIDIA have a partnership that means Oracle gets the latest and greatest gear first. They just do. Oracle went in and got contracts first. So if you aren't one of the Mag 7 and you want the latest and greatest gear, you have to contract Oracle at the moment. They are integrated for an AI first for enterprise software, meaning they can help you take those floating point numbers and integrate them into your Fortune 500 proprietary software. So they're also the integration layer. They literally turn that energy into computational analysis for you with your already built system. And this is kind of the big one here is they're also the dedicated builder for governments and sovereign wealth funds, for different governments and for sovereign AI. I've talked about sovereign AI in some of my YouTube shorts, but real quick, sovereign AI is the idea that if you don't, as a country, don't build your own AI data centers, your culture will be erased. And the quick example is British English is largely erased from the internet, and it's because all or most internet companies are based in the US, and we do not use British English. And so, long story short, British English does not exist on the internet. And that's a small but kind of poignant example of how a culture can be erased from a time and place because they didn't preserve the thing or they're not in charge of the thing. So countries will want their own AI devices, their own AI data centers, and they will need Oracle to do that. And especially if Oracle also is in between power and them, it just compounds. Oracle is also already the dedicated builder for banks and financial institutions, which require highly secure systems. And so they have the security. They're the ones for it. And last but not least, Oracle's cloud works uniformly everywhere. The power of their Oracle cloud infrastructure means that other cloud providers like Microsoft, they structure deals with Oracle so that way anyone can work anywhere and access the same things. It's really incredible. Like you can have employees all over the world, but they still get access to your proprietary data or AI data centers through secure networks. So Oracle owns the data center manufacturing piece and the software layer that enables energy to become AI. And this is why they took off all of a sudden, because everyone kind of woke up and realized. We've been talking about Oracle for a while in this regard, but everyone woke up and realized recently when Oracle jumped up 36% in one day. This being said, it has come down a little bit, and it will continue to rise over time. So it's still, so in those downturns is an important time to pick up some Oracle for your stock. And remember, while everyone is fighting over chips, Oracle quietly is controlling the intelligence infrastructure that connects power to AI. And they truly are the train tracks for the AI train. And if you want the train to pay you for every ride, owning Oracle is essential. And thank you. Thank you for coming. This is our last slide here. If you're already part of digital creators and consumers, ignore the top portion. But just for everyone who can't get enough Markman Capital, we do have a daily free Substack at markmancapitalinsight.substack.com. And remember, we want to help you build wealth from the AI power boom. And we make 2 guarantees with our Substack. 1, it's free, and 2, it's reliable and sometimes funny, and we will provide them every day of the week. So please, if you haven't joined our Substack, it's a great and growing community. We started for really recently. But moreover, I want to thank you for joining me in this first of many AI masterclasses. And please let me know your thoughts, your comments. Did I cover something? Did I not cover something you want me to go over? Do you have any ideas? Do you want me to cover something? Do you want me to go deeper into fusion? Or was that whole, is the government conspiracy been stopping fusion a waste of your time? Please let me know, because this is for you. I want to make sure that our subscribers are fully informed on everything that is AI and the complete stack that is the AI pyramid. Anyways, thank you for coming, and I really appreciate you. I do. Have a good one. Bye.